Muscles need training, and so does the mind. The body needs to run, needs exercise, and the mind too needs its own kind of exercise. The path of training the mind is deeply important. Once you're familiar with it, once you've grown used to it, you find peace within it, and when you're at peace, life flows naturally, calm, free, and unburdened. Yesterday, someone came up here with the question, "Where are you now?" Blonde hair, a woman with a strong square-shaped face. That hair, so blonde it looked almost white, you'd think she was halfway to becoming an immortal sage. "Where are you?" you asked me. "How can I cultivate the kind of serene presence that you have, teacher?" "Simple," I said. "Please train your mind. That's it. Go home and get married. If you're a woman, then find yourself a husband. Choose the kind who roars like a lion from Ha-jong, who scolds you every single day. Let life itself become your training ground, so that your mind can learn to be calm, and you can do it every day. Your husband or wife becomes your meditation teacher. What more do you need? Even out on the street, you can find chances to train the mind. When we step into the sunlight, men tend to feel more at ease, but women often rush to cover up like a ninja. But don't rush. Pause for just 2 seconds. Observe that inner discomfort. The sunlight touches your skin. You feel uneasy, and behind that unease is something deeper. Insecurity, worry, a desire to stay beautiful, a desire to keep your skin light and fair. Can you see how that mind is working? Notice it, then go cover up if you must. But in that moment, thanks to the sunlight, you've just had a chance to refine your mind. So what if we get 5% darker? If our mind grows 10% kinder, wiser, more peaceful? Wasn't that a good trade? Choosing to nourish the mind, to refine the heart, that's far more important than maintaining flawless skin. Because no matter how beautiful your skin is now, time will age it, wrinkles will come, and in the end, we all must go. There's no escaping that. So, start training your mind, all right? Delicious food, can it help us train the mind? Of course it can. When something tastes good, we feel delighted. That delight makes us want more. So if we hold back just a little, that's already a form of training the mind. When the food is bland or not to our taste, we don't want to eat it. But what if we slow down, chew more mindfully, and choose to be at peace even with something we don't enjoy? You don't have to force yourself to finish it all. Just try to bring calmness into each spoonful of rice you lift to your mouth. Chew slowly. Be present with it. Be at peace with it. Maybe the cook didn't get it quite right today. That's okay. Just eat it peacefully anyway. Chew thoroughly. Your saliva will come in, soften the rice, and little by little it'll taste better. This too is a way of training the mind. Yes, even during a simple meal, we can train the mind. Remember that. A meal. Now what about going to the toilet? Can we train the mind there too? The person before you forgot to flush. Toilet paper's everywhere. You feel annoyed, right? That irritation, pause and observe it. Settle your mind. In that moment, you're holding your breath. It's not easy to breathe. Ha ha. Holding your breath becomes a form of mindfulness training. Just imagine. So, you hold your breath, close your eyes, calm your thoughts, reach in, tidy things up, toss the paper in the bin, flush the toilet, and then sit down. Right there, you've just had 15 seconds of pure mind training. What else? Turning on the faucet, letting the water hit your body, can that train the mind? Of course it can. If the water's too cold, you flinch. If it's too hot, you flinch again. Either way, discomfort. Can you notice that tiny bit of anxiety, that subtle discomfort rising up at the touch of heat or cold? So turn the water down a bit. Close your eyes. Look directly at the unease. Face it fully. And when you do, it starts to dissolve. Once it's gone, you can turn the water back up a little, and now you're bathing in peace. So yes, even showering can be a practice. Going to the toilet can be a practice. Washing your face, eating your meals, walking down to the parking lot in the heat of the sun, that too can be a moment of training. Even when you get to the parking lot and the attendant snaps at you, "No more space, go somewhere else." Do you get angry? Of course you do. Why's this guy yelling at me? The irritation flares up. But take that moment. Borrow the scene to train your mind. Pause for 10, maybe 15 seconds. Then go somewhere else. You're still walking, still feeling a little annoyed. That's okay. Take that anger, slow down, and use it to keep training the mind. After parking, walk slowly. Feel your emotions, get to know your mind, and then just try letting it go. That's all. Step 1 is simple. Notice what's going on inside you. Let it go. That's already a success. You don't need to move on to step 2. You don't need to analyze or manage anything yet. Just recognize it clearly, then let it go. That alone is enough. Does anyone still have any questions? Yes, go ahead.
Hello, teacher, and everyone here. My name is Vaughn. I'd like to ask something. Earlier, there were 2 moments that stood out to me. The first one, the first of the 2. When the loud noise happened, I was really startled. It hit me hard. But then, after just a breath or 2, it started to ease up right away, and I could even hear my own heartbeat clearly. But in the second instance of noise, I didn't feel startled at all. Nothing. It was just a sound. Just something I heard. But strangely, even though I wasn't startled, I felt way more uncomfortable. Even when I tried to breathe deeply again, it didn't feel like before. It didn't feel light inside me, and I couldn't sense my heartbeat at all. I didn't flinch, but somehow, it just wasn't like the first time. Why is that?
So what you experienced is actually a sign that you had already started to regulate your sense of unease, but this time, it was the deluded mind that had quietly taken over. It became dull and unnoticeable, so you couldn't see it clearly. That's the nature of the deluded mind. It operates in the background, and if we're not watchful, we won't even realize it's there. But that's okay. Sometimes it's anger that takes over. You feel it as irritation. Other times, it's fear. You feel it as anxiety. And then there are times when desire kicks in. It pulls you towards something, makes you crave, makes you want to possess. And then there are moments when delusion moves in. It makes everything feel sluggish, dull, vague. That's how delusion works. It numbs your awareness. Each moment is different. Each state of mind takes its turn. So the more you practice observing, the more you'll start to notice even that hidden dullness. You will begin to see it.
But teacher, how do I let it go?
Just keep watching it. That's it. Keep observing, and it will pass. These mental states, they come and go. They never stay forever, right? Sometimes just opening your eyes is enough. As soon as you look around and engage with others, that dull, heavy state vanishes, and your awareness comes back to life. Take comfort in this. The mind is impermanent. These states come and go. If you ever feel stuck, just open your eyes, release yourself from the meditation. That's okay too. Or take 2 deep breaths, really deep. Then return to observing. If the mind feels dull and heavy, it's likely you've slipped into a sleepy, foggy state. That's okay. Just breathe. 2 or 3 deep breaths. Let it go. Then come back to observing. Don't get frustrated. Just gently return. And suddenly you'll feel light again. That's all it takes. Just a few mindful breaths. Let the body move again. Let the mind return to clarity. Your blood starts to pump harder, then you let it go. The heartbeat slows again, slows down, and you return to simply observing. That's all.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yes, teacher.
Can someone pass the mic to the next person, please?
Yes, thank you. So for me, the first time we heard the sound of the glass breaking, I was really startled. But like the previous speaker, I took 2 deep breaths, and I was able to calm myself and start observing my breath again. But the second time, I wasn't startled at all. Instead, my face began to feel hot. Teacher. My ears turned red. Everything felt like it was burning up. But I didn't jump or flinch. So then, what do?
Feel that heat. Feel your ears warming. Observe the redness. Notice the tingling or burning sensation on your face. That heat, that physical reaction, is happening in the body. But what's actually at work underneath is feeling. One of the 5 aggregates in Buddhist psychology. It's that immediate instinctive reaction to experience, pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. So in that moment, you're observing the body and you're observing feeling. But you haven't yet made contact with the mind itself. If that heat makes you feel annoyed or restless, then it's aversion that's arising in the mind. If it makes you feel pleased or satisfied, then desire is what's operating. The same physical sensation can arise, but the root mental state beneath it can be completely different. That's why mindfulness matters. It helps you see which part of the mind is truly active. When everything feels dull and foggy and you can't recognize anything clearly, that's when delusion is active in the mind. When you feel anxious or uneasy, that's fear at work. So if you're not yet able to observe the mind directly, that's okay. If you can observe the body or observe feeling, that's already a great start. From there, little by little, you'll begin to see the mind itself. Don't worry, you will be able to observe the mind today. Hopefully, 90% of you will reach that point, being able to clearly observe your own mental state.
I have another thing to share, teacher. When I go from having my eyes open to closing them, I feel dizzy. But then, during the time when my eyes are closed, I'm fine again. It's only when I open my eyes back up that I get dizzy and I even get a headache.
Then get up and move your body. If you're feeling dizzy and getting headaches, it could be because your circulation isn't flowing well. Try standing up and doing some light exercise. Twist your neck, stretch your spine, roll your shoulders. Just try it and see.
But if I just squint or look down at the floor, then I'm fine.
Still, be confident. Try moving more fully and see how your body responds. And while you're exercising, can you still observe your mind? Of course you can. For example, when you lift your arm and you feel pain in your shoulder joint, slow down. Close your eyes and feel that pain clearly. That is the contemplation of feeling, a core part of mindfulness practice. Observing not just the body, but the experience of pain itself. Pain happens in the body, but the sensation that arises from it, that's feeling. When pain becomes overwhelming and you're too uncomfortable, that's when aversion arises. So, even when you're doing push-ups, you can still practice meditation. That's the beauty of mindfulness. It can be applied anywhere, anytime. Whether you're running, twisting your spine, bending forward, you can bring mindfulness into every movement. Even right now, sitting here, you can twist a little, close your eyes, and move slowly with full awareness. In that very act of twisting your back, you're bringing meditation into your body. Mindfulness is powerful. It's what makes meditation come alive in everyday life. Mindfulness is what we use to meditate through life, not concentration alone. Concentration, or right concentration, asks you to be still. It requires the mind to become absorbed into one single point, something much more intense. You often have to sit still or stand still to enter that deep state. But mindfulness? You can be walking, standing, lying down, or sitting, it doesn't matter. Mindfulness follows you into all of it. Anyone else with a question? Pass the mic to this side. All right, go ahead.
Yes, so during the first session, following your guidance, as I closed my eyes, I noticed that my eyebrows started to tense up. They furrowed on their own, but after a while, it settled down. I also noticed that my breath wasn't very steady and neither was my heartbeat. After that, following your guidance, everything started to feel normal again. My heartbeat evened out. When the sound of the glass breaking happened, I was able to recognize it as what it was, a glass breaking, and my heartbeat stayed steady. But then later, when the loud music came on, I still felt okay. But the second time the glass breaking sound played, it made me uncomfortable. I wasn't startled, but as soon as I heard that snap, I felt bothered. I recognized it. Then I tried to recall the sound in my mind, to imagine it again, and I still felt that discomfort. But then I let it go.
When anger arises and you look straight at it, then let it go, that's when letting go, non-attachment, is operating. And when I thought about the sound again, I still felt that same discomfort. That's normal. After that, you let it go again. Yes, exactly, that's good practice. You saw the anger. You haven't seen the unease behind it yet, but you will. It'll come in time.
Thank you, teacher. And hello, everyone. I have a question. If I want to apply this kind of practice in real life, for example, in a situation where I'm getting my motorbike or talking to someone and I feel anger rising, do I have to close my eyes in order to recognize what's happening in my mind?
If you're experienced, then no. You don't need to close your eyes, but in the beginning, you should close your eyes. Keep in mind, closing your eyes is about cutting off external stimuli. Once you're more practiced, you don't need to close your eyes. You'll be able to cut through stimulus without closing them. When you're new to the practice, you need to shut off the stimuli. But once you're used to it, you don't have to anymore. Let the stimulus come. You don't have to block it. You just cut through the reaction in the mind, not the contact itself. The key is to manage the mind, not the stimulus. Contact gives rise to feeling. Feeling gives rise to craving, and craving is in the mind. What we want to address is the craving, not the contact. Let the world touch you, but cut it off at the mind, because the mind controls everything. Sense contact is just contact. We have 5 sense faculties. One day you might lose your vision. That's one sense gone. But that doesn't mean blind people are better at meditation, right? Because in the end, it's still all about managing the mind, not the senses. But because we've spent so much of our lives letting our senses turn outward, they've ended up controlling our mind. That's why the masters always advise, in the beginning, cut down on sensory input. Only then can you start to truly see your own mind. Once you're familiar with watching the mind, you'll be able to keep your eyes open and still be fully aware of it. So in the beginning, yes, close your eyes. Practice steadily, and half a year or a year later, you'll find that your eyes are wide open, and yet you still know what's going on inside. When anger arises, you'll immediately notice, I'm angry. And your eyes, without needing to stare at anyone, might naturally shift away. Just glance down at the ground, and your mind will begin to settle again. The anger passes. Then you can look up, speak peacefully, and return to calm. It gets faster. With practice, it becomes natural. Just keep at it. Anyone else? Let's pass the mic down. There are 3 young men in the back.
Hello, teacher and everyone. I have a question. If I happen to see a beautiful woman, should I look away? Or should I look directly and remind myself, her body is just flesh and blood. One day it too will rot and turn to worms. Which approach is better for spiritual practice?
The second approach is better. That's the one aligned with what the Buddha taught in the scriptures. Yes, the second one. But even that method, visualizing the body as decay, is still less skillful than practicing mindfulness. Why? Because when you imagine her body turning into worms and rot, You're still using mental fabrication. The mind is still caught up in imagination. You're operating from mental imagery. What is mindfulness then? Mindfulness means recognizing. This is craving arising in the mind, and you cut it off right there. You stop the craving at its root. The truth is, the woman in front of you is genuinely beautiful. That's a fact, not an illusion. You're not looking at her in terms of atoms or molecules. If your eyes were like some kind of spiritual telescope, if you could see through her body, see the blood, the pus, the decay, then maybe you could let go of that attachment to external beauty. But right now you don't have that kind of mental concentration yet. You don't have the samadhi to see through the body like an X-ray machine. Because if it were like an X-ray machine, then whether someone is beautiful or not would be the same. On the inside, it's all the same. Feces, fluids, blood, waste, nothing different. Like a shiny plastic bag that's been sealed up beautifully, but poke a hole in it, and what comes out? Blood, pus, filth. So let me ask you, would you still love that plastic bag? You don't have that kind of concentration power yet. So that method, visualizing the body in terms of decay, that belongs to concentration training. But when you're practicing mindfulness, it's different. You simply recognize this is craving in the mind. You acknowledge that craving, turn inward, observe it, manage it, and then let it go. That's the power of mindfulness. So if you look at someone and desire arises, you turn your attention back to yourself. Close your eyes, look inward, watch the state of your own mind. But if the craving is too strong, then you need to step away. Retreat first, manage your mind, get yourself steady again. Then if you're curious, you can take a quick peek and move on.
I'm asking this on behalf of all the guys here.
No worries. This afternoon we'll practice with desire. Don't worry, I've got some videos prepared to help you train your mind around desire. Don't worry. We'll make sure the guys get their turn too. Ladies have asked plenty of questions. Now let's give the guys a chance. We still need time to go eat.
Hello, teacher, and everyone here. I've been studying meditation under several teachers in Vietnam, like Master Thich Thong Loc, Master Thich Chan Quang, and even Master Minh Than, who's a lecturer at the Buddhist Studies Institute. They often say that when you begin meditating, it's better to keep your eyes open rather than closed. Because when your eyes are open, you're less likely to fall into mental dullness, drowsiness, or excessive fantasizing.
That's okay. But when you meditate with your eyes open, there is one drawback. You tend to lose the ability to monitor your own mind. When your eyes are open, they get drawn outward. Visual stimuli pull your attention, and that makes it much easier for external things to influence you. So you have to pay the price for that. When your eyes are closed, yes, you may feel sleepy or get lost in wandering thoughts, but in return it becomes much easier to observe your own mind. When your eyes are open, you're less likely to feel drowsy or drift off into mental restlessness. But the downside is, when your mind starts reacting, it's harder to notice because your focus is being pulled by what you're looking at. In walking meditation, your eyes should be open. That's a must. But in sitting meditation, it's often better to keep them closed. You can't close your eyes while walking, right? So you leave them open, but the key is to stay aware. Feel your body moving. Feel your feet lifting, stepping, touching the ground. Feel your breath. Feel your emotional state, whether you're irritated or calm with every step. You need to be able to sense all of that as you move. So let's say you're walking in meditation and suddenly a dog breaks loose and starts barking, woof, woof, woof. You get startled, but you keep walking and you realize, my mind is unsettled now. Step by step you keep going, and maybe by the fifth step you feel calm again. That right there, that's training the mind. The dog is still barking, your eyes are still open, and that's totally fine. Once you grasp that principle, you're no longer stuck on whether you should be sitting, standing, or walking. It's not about the posture anymore.
So, when I sit in meditation, should I keep my eyes open or closed?
That depends. You choose what works for you. If you tend to get drowsy or feel sluggish, keep your eyes open. Just gaze gently downward at a small area so your attention doesn't scatter outward too much. But if keeping your eyes open causes your mind to keep getting pulled by distractions, then yes, you'll need to close them. It's up to you. Can you picture that? It's up to each of us to decide what method suits us best. Also, just to clarify, everything I share with you comes from my own direct experience, learning from many different teachers and applying those teachings in my daily life. That's the foundation I teach from. What has worked well in real, lived practice. But I'm not here to teach you meditation as a path to enlightenment. That's a completely different concept. Because I'm not enlightened. I would never dare say what Master Thich Thong Lak once said, that you could become an arahant after 7 months of practice. I couldn't say that. I wouldn't make promises like that. What I can promise, though, is this. If you follow my method, you'll learn how to see your own mind, and from there, you'll know how to work with it, shape it, and guide it. That I can promise, because I've applied this myself many times, and I've seen how effective it is. Now, shaping the mind to such a degree that it becomes completely pliable, that it reaches enlightenment, I haven't done that yet. But at the very least, I've learned how to live with greater peace, right here in the middle of ordinary life. And that I can teach you. That's the extent of what I offer, all right? Now, who has the next question?
Yes, hello teacher, and hello everyone. In short, I feel like what everyone's been sharing is similar to what I experienced too during meditation. For me, the first thing I felt was drowsiness, really sleepy. But then I heard what you said, and I followed your guidance and focused on my breathing. After that, I started to see some colored light in front of my forehead, kind of like a greenish hue. And then a little while later, I noticed a small white spot or glow right here at the center of my forehead. But then you mentioned something about sensing the heartbeat, and I wasn't really able to feel that part very clearly. Sometimes I could only catch a sound or two, and occasionally I'd feel this twitching sensation, like little pulses, sometimes behind my neck, sometimes on the top of my head. At first, when I heard the sound, I didn't realize it was the sound of a glass breaking. To me, it just came as a loud, startling noise. I didn't recognize anger arising, but what I did feel very clearly was fear. I felt anxious, really nervous, completely startled, like my whole body jumped. I was genuinely afraid. But then, after hearing your voice, something shifted. I started to feel a sense of calm again. Honestly, if it hadn't been for your voice at that moment, I would have been truly overwhelmed by fear. Then it happened again. I heard another sound similar to a glass shattering. I was still afraid, but not irritated. It wasn't anger, just fear again. After that, I just kept listening to your voice and followed your guidance. By the second time it happened, I still flinched, but I wasn't scared anymore. I turned my attention back to my breathing. But I also noticed something. I felt a bit of tightness in my chest, just like you mentioned earlier. I thought maybe it was because I also practice yoga. But in that moment, I could sense that my breath wasn't very smooth or gentle. It felt a bit heavy. And after listening to what you shared, teacher, I came to a realization, just from my own understanding. I feel like in life, whenever something happens that we don't yet understand, that's when we become unsettled. That's when fear arises. But once we can observe our own mind, once we can truly see it, then that fear begins to ease, depending on each person's depth of insight. I do have a question, but it's something I've also thought about quite a bit on my own. When I was younger, there were 2 times I nearly drowned in a river. I struggled, I fought to survive, but eventually I was exhausted, completely worn out. And in that moment, I thought to myself, I'm going to die, and I let go. I completely relaxed my body, but deep down, there was this feeling, a deep, buried emotion. I felt angry at myself because I never got the chance to see my parents again. That memory has stayed with me, lodged deep in my mind, and just now, while meditating, I felt a similar sense of unease, like that moment resurfaced. At first, I wanted to ask you about it, but then I thought maybe that kind of experience only happens to people who are close to death. But now I'm wondering if we meditate deeply enough and we've truly observed and understood our mind, then maybe when death comes, we don't have to struggle with greed, anger, or delusion. Maybe when we pass away, we're simply holding on to something sacred in our heart. And then we go peacefully. That's just my own thought. Honestly, I don't even know what meditation really is, but after practicing today and feeling all of this, I came to that reflection on my own. So, thank you, teacher.
In the case of this young woman, when she closed her eyes and began to see light gathering, followed by different colors appearing, that shows she's entering through the path of concentration rather than mindfulness. And that's a good thing. This is the kind of practitioner who, if she were to study at the Pa Auk Meditation Center in Myanmar, would fit right in. Vo Trong Ungia, the architect and engineer, has been practicing there for 2 years now. There are people who enter meditation through concentration first, rather than through mindfulness. For them, many unusual phenomena begin to appear, sometimes even supernatural abilities. What she's experiencing is one of those unusual signs. She's developing the power of concentration. If you were to study there for even 1 year, you might gain the results others would need 10 years to reach, but you must have the right teacher. The Pa Auk Meditation Center is the only place in the world that teaches deep concentration so thoroughly and systematically. They first guide you through powerful concentration practices. Then from there, you use that concentration to deepen mindfulness. In contrast, most meditation systems begin with mindfulness first, because that's the more stable and reliable foundation. If you follow the path of concentration without developing mindfulness, you might risk going off track, losing your way. So if you're entering through concentration, go to Pa Auk. Study there for a month or 3 months. Even short stays can open up access to higher meditative absorptions. The 4th jhana, for example, has many levels, and each level deepens your ability. Once you've developed those states and gained some extraordinary mental clarity, you can then use that power to turn inward and dismantle greed, anger, and delusion far more swiftly. That's when real transformation begins. Now, speaking for myself, I don't have much direct experience with concentration-based meditation because I've never been to that center. But I've read about it, and I've heard stories from those who train there, so I know Pa Auk specializes in concentration. If you're looking for a school focused on mindfulness, then that would be Sayadaw U Min's tradition. That center is centered entirely around mindfulness practice. If you want to understand both concentration and mindfulness, you can go to Phuoc Sun. The teachers there can guide you in both areas, but still, it doesn't compare to Myanmar. Myanmar has true mastery in this field. There are many great masters there. Vietnam has good teachers too, but not at that level. Even Vietnamese teachers go to Myanmar to study. In terms of meditative practice, Myanmar is the most solid in the world. India doesn't compare. Nepal doesn't either. So for you, you clearly have a concentration-based gift. Now, if someone like you were to go into practices that focus on attaining levels or supernatural states, like flying through the air or leaving the body, you might easily lose your way, because those states come with rapture, bliss, strange experiences. And then what? You come home and don't want to work anymore. You abandon your family, your job. Your life becomes ungrounded. This has happened to many people. It's more common than you think. But in Pa Auk, that doesn't happen. They guide you into deep concentration, and then they bring you back to mindfulness, back to Vipassana. Take note, if you go to learn Vipassana, the first 3 days are spent on concentration, just observing the breath to enter deep states. Then, starting from day 4 to 7, you move into mindfulness practice, sweeping the body from head to toe. That's the development of mindfulness of the body and feeling, but not yet of the mind. So when you share your experience, we can start to get a sense of your spiritual temperament, your karmic inclination. That helps determine which path will work best for you. You might as well try mindfulness and see. It could be that in past lives you've practiced both concentration and mindfulness. That's why it all comes back to you so easily. But ultimately, once you develop the ability to observe your own mind and manage it, then peace arises, and only from that peace can you skillfully handle life's challenges. When you're unsettled, can you take on big responsibilities? No, you'll only be able to manage small tasks. That's why, when you're unsettled, you only handle small stuff, never the big things. If you want to handle big things, you must be deeply at peace. The more difficult the situation, the more peace you'll need. Getting married, for example, that's a major decision. So you must make that decision from a place of deep calm. If you decide based purely on emotion, well, then it's just chance and luck. Changing careers too, that's something that must come from a place of deep calm and careful reflection. You can't just ride a wave of excitement and switch careers on a whim. So many parts of our lives are shaped by a series of choices, and every choice, really, has two possible approaches. One is when the choice comes from an observing mind, a mind that seeks to understand the nature of things, that sees things clearly before deciding. The other is when the choice comes from a reactive mind, just jumping in and doing whatever feels good in the moment. And that's why we say, follow your impulse can be dangerous. All right, any more questions before we eat? Ah, it's high. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, teacher. My experience was quite similar to the previous speaker. At first, I felt an itch on my face. I tried to ignore the itch, and then I noticed a flash of light on my forehead. Then I felt something in my head, in my brain. It was like a sky opened up. Blue sky with white clouds, gradually expanding. At that point, it felt like I wasn't even myself anymore. It felt like I was entering deep concentration.
These are unusual phenomena, signs of strong concentration. If you keep practicing like this, you'll reach the level of David Copperfield, and then you won't want to become a monk anymore. Just go on stage and perform magic. With deep concentration, you might gain the ability to see through people. You might look into someone's wallet and know exactly how much money is in there. This guy has $200, and they pull out exactly that amount. Another person says, bet you can't guess how much I have. And you say $20, and boom, it's right. You see, you'd become a magician. With the power of concentration, it's very easy to become famous and very easy to make money. But that's also when craving and ego begin to operate, and that becomes a serious obstacle to spiritual practice. All right, now let's move into practice. From here to the next place, we'll practice walking meditation. Earlier we sat, now we'll walk. When you walk, make sure it's not a short distance. The longer you walk, the better. Try to really immerse in it. As you begin to stand and walk, each person will take their turn, one after another. For example, you start here, then the next person follows, and the next, just walking in a circle around this space. As you begin, take each step gently and try to feel each footstep fully. If you want to deepen the experience, close your eyes. During walking meditation, try this. Close your eyes as you take the first step, then the second. Then open your eyes again. Walk a bit more. Then close your eyes once more. Step 1, step 2. If you feel confident, take 3 or 4 steps with your eyes still closed. That's fine. But if you start to feel uncertain, go ahead and open your eyes. Then close them again when you're ready. What's important is this. When your eyes are closed, your sensitivity increases. You'll start to feel your body more clearly with every step. Feel the weight of your feet, whether they feel heavy or light as you lift and place them. Bring your full attention to the soles of your feet. Notice the weight, whether it's heavy, light, or grounded. Feel how your foot lifts and sets down. You might also notice your mind becoming uneasy as your eyes close. You may feel like your body is floating, like you're walking on water, a drifting sensation. It might feel a little unstable, even a little anxious. Whenever that happens, stop for a moment and observe, then continue walking. This is what we call walking meditation. It's not sitting meditation. You can apply this practice anytime, anywhere. Because the nature of life is constant movement, not stillness. So we use walking, this natural motion, as the foundation for meditation. Once you understand this, you'll see. You can meditate while eating, drinking, running, even showering. Got the picture? So now, hold on to this principle and practice it. All right, let's start. This person goes first, then the next, and so on. Walk one by one. You can choose whether to walk with your eyes open or closed, but try to keep them closed more often than open. Open them only to recenter yourself, then close them again. Feel the experience. Even when you reach the door, open your eyes to open the door, then close them again as you step down. Feel your mind. With every step, observe your state of mind. Is your step a little unsteady? Then maybe your mind is a little unsettled too. Feel it. If your mind is anxious, you'll feel the wobble in your feet. Just feel it. That's it. Later, when you go get your food, do it naturally. Even then, you can practice. Close your eyes for a moment as you bring a bite to your mouth. If it doesn't taste good, close your eyes and feel that too. Chew it slowly, and that unpleasantness will eventually fade. The same goes for food that tastes good. It also fades away. So we learn to handle both the pleasant and the unpleasant. Because if the pleasant repeats too often, it can give rise to craving. And if the unpleasant repeats, it leads to aversion. In this way, you're learning to manage both. All right? Keep walking. Just let it flow naturally. You can practice right here. Stand up, take a few steps back and forth. Just 2 or 3 steps is enough. Walk back and forth and start feeling into it. If you find you can't stop thinking while sitting with your eyes closed, open your eyes and walk instead. If you're sitting and your mind keeps spinning, stand up and walk. Feel every step. Observe. Does my mind sway with each step? Does my balance reflect an inner unease? Or is it steady? Is my mind at peace or not?